Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So for this week, we're going to have operations on integers. So before we proceed to the examples, let's be guided by the rules first. I'll be stating the rules first and then we'll have the exercises. So the first one, we have addition of integers. Okay, so we have to be guided by the rule that if you are adding integers of the same signs, you have to get their sum and copy the common sign. So for example, one here, we have positive 10 to be added to positive 8. So as you can see, they have same signs which is both positive. So for positive integers, you may or may not put the plus sign. So we may have positive, and then the sum of the two is 18. You can write it as 18 plus 18 or simply 18. Either of the two is understood to be positive 18. For the next one, we are going to add two integers of the same signs, wherein they are both negative. So, as the rule says, you have to get the sum. The sum of 15 and 9 is 24. Then after getting the sum, is you copy or affix the common sign negative. There you have the sum negative 24. Okay? So next, we now have, this time we now have two integers to be added, but the signs are different. And let's see what's the rule of that. So when you are adding two integers of different signs, first you get the difference of their absolute values, and then copy the sign of the number with greater absolute value. It's stated there that you have to get the absolute value of each integer. So we have negative 15 and then 9. So taking the absolute values, it's 15 and then 9. And it says here that you have to get the difference of their absolute value. So the difference is 6. But the number with the greater absolute value must have its sign to be placed on the resulting number. So between the two, it's negative sign to be put on 6 because the absolute value of negative 15 is greater than the absolute value of 9. Therefore, we have the result, which is negative 6. Okay, moving on. So same rule, we now add 25 and negative 23. So since their signs are different, we get the difference of their absolute values. Okay, so we have here 25 and then to be subtracted by 23. And getting the difference of their absolute values, we'll get 2. Since the larger of the two number, the larger absolute value between the two numbers is 25, therefore the resulting number is positive. Okay? Now this time in subtraction of integers, what's the rule in subtracting two integers? So the rule states that when you subtract two integers, you have to change the sign of the subtrahend and proceed to addition. So as you can see in the rule, this implies that the rules in addition is really very important because it will also be applied in subtracting two integers. So we have to change the sign of the subtrahend. Let's all be guided that the subtrahend follows after the minus sign. So we have here 18 minus 3, wherein the subtrahend is positive 3. It says in the rule, we change the sign of it, so positive 3 becomes negative, and proceed to addition. We are now adding 18 and negative 3. So when we add integers of different signs, we get the difference of their absolute values. We have 18 and then minus 3. The difference of the two is 15. The resulting number is positive since 18 has a greater absolute value than negative 3 here. Okay, next. So in the next one, you have 17 minus 25. So again, applying the rule, change the sign of the subtrahend. The 25 here becomes negative and proceed to addition. And then you take the difference of their absolute values. So we take the difference of each integer. We have 17 and then subtracted by 25. Okay? Or we just have to refer to the larger one. 25 minus 17. And we have 8. Now, between the two, the one that has a greater absolute value is 25, so we take the sign of it. Okay? So, by the way, taking the difference of their absolute values, we have to refer to this one, the larger minus smaller. Okay? Moving on. Now, what about if we have this given? Negative 14 minus 7. Again, the subtrahend is 7. We change the sign of it, and it will proceed to addition. The process will proceed to addition. So we are now going to have negative 14 added to negative 7. Since their signs are the same, we just have to get the sum of the two, 21, and then affix the common sign, negative. And there you have a negative 21. Moving on, we have negative 14 minus negative 1. So again, the rule says you change the sign of the subtrahend and proceed to addition. So you are now left with negative 14 to be added to positive 11. And taking the absolute value of each integer and getting the difference of the absolute values, having the first as the larger and the second as the smaller, we have 14 minus 11. And 14 minus 11 will give us 3. But take note, between the two integers, the sign of the larger absolute, the one with the greater absolute value is negative. Therefore, the resulting number is negative. There you have negative 3. Okay, this time around, we are going to have multiplication and division of integers. Why do we have to take the two operations at the same time? It's because the rule the rule for both operations is the same. Okay, so we're just going to have it one as one. Okay, and the rule states that when you are going to get the product or quotient of two integers with same signs, the resulting sign will always be positive. So following the rules, we're going to get the product of 5 and 4. Since 5 and 4 are both positive, therefore, we get 20 as a result. We get the product 20, and it's positive because they are of the same signs. Okay, there's no need to put a positive sign before 20 because it's understood to be positive already. For the next one, we have negative 8 to be multiplied by negative 5. Same thing goes. They are of the same signs. We are multiplying integers of the same signs. Therefore, the resulting sign will be positive. And getting the product of 8 and 5, we get 40. Therefore, negative 8 times negative 5 is 40. Okay. Now, what about for this one? We have We are going to multiply. Okay, there you have it. We are going to multiply two factors wherein one is negative and the other one is positive. Now, before we proceed to the process, let's recall first the rule on that. So this time, if the two integers that you are multiplying or dividing are of different, take note, different signs. Okay, it has to be different. Okay, different signs. Then the product is always negative. Okay, I was not able to change that. The product is always negative. So here, a negative and a positive, when multiplied together, will be negative product. And 6 and 7 will give us 42. And there you have it. For the next one, we have, okay, we now have more than two factors, which are negative 4, 3, negative 2, negative 1. Okay, we are going to get the product of these four factors, okay? But what you're going to do is to count first, for the resulting sign, is to count first the number of negatives, okay? So as we count, we have 1, 2, and 3. Since there is an odd number of negative signs, therefore, the resulting sign is negative. If there is an even number of negative signs in the given factors, then the resulting sign will be positive. Then we now get the product of these numbers. So 4 and 3 is 12, multiplied by 2 is 24, then multiplied by 1 is still 24. Therefore, the product is negative 24. Okay? So let's now have the next one. For the next one, we have, okay? So I think we could put that one here. So in number 13, we're given negative 4 cubed. Okay. So allow me to erase these writings here for the solutions. And so with the next one, so that we'll have more space for the next two items. Okay. So let's bring this back. Okay, and move this one there. So we're given negative 4 to be cubed. As the definition of the exponent, it tells us how many times this base negative 4 will be used as a factor. So when we are going to have the expanded form of this, it will goes like it will go like negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. Since the exponent is 3, then negative 4 will be used 3 times as a factor. And since you have 3 negative signs, therefore the resulting sign is negative, and multiplying 4 by 4 is 16, and another multiplying by 4, 16 by 4 is 64. There you have the product, negative 64. Okay, or if we are going to refer to the given, a negative integer raised to an odd number exponent will always be negative. And there you have it. Now, what about in the next one? For the next item, okay, as you can see, we have negative 4 cubed. So these two are read in the same manner. They are both read as negative 4 cubed, but are written in different manner. So we have a quantity sign here that encloses the negative 4 and to be raised to the third. But in number 14, it's negative 4, then the exponent 3. For number 14, it implies that the negative sign is not part of the base that will be raised to the third power. Okay, so the negative sign will just be left as a negative sign there, and 4 will be used three times as a factor. So we have negative of 4 times 4 times 4. And since you only have one negative sign, then the resulting sign will be negative, and 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. So we have the same result but different given. Okay? And that's it. Okay, so this time we are going to divide two integers. As the rule says, if we are going to divide two integers with same signs, the resulting sign will always be positive. So we are to divide 25 by 5. So we know that the two integers have the same signs, wherein they are both positive. Therefore, the quotient is positive. Dividing 25 by 5 will give us positive 5. So we just write 5 there. For the next one, we are going to divide two integers which are both negative. And it says in the rules that whenever they are of the same signs, it's always positive when you are multiplying or dividing. So negative divided by negative is positive, so we may or may not put the plus sign there. 28 divided by 2 is 14. Therefore, the quotient is 14. Let's move on to the next. So this time we are going to divide two integers of different signs. One is negative and the other one is positive. So as the rule says, if they are of different signs, the resulting sign is always negative. Therefore, you have a negative here, and 54 divided by 3 is 18. Therefore, the quotient is negative 18. In the last example, we have 72 divided by negative 12. Still, we are dividing two integers of different signs, so the result will always be negative. And dividing 72 by 12, you'll get 6. Therefore, the final answer is negative 6.